I want to welcome back Tony Beadle, who is the president and CEO of Rockport Music. And of course, just great to see you again, Tony. How are you doing?
It is, even virtually, you're looking good these days.
Yeah, as you and you as well. And again, I apologize for not putting the tie on. I just it's cold in my studio here as we approach the middle of fall. Tony, with the Shalin-Liu not available as it has been, and everything's shut down since March. I just wonder what is the status, and maybe as sort of as the commander, the general of your staff. What's the morale like among the staff? Because the people you have working for you, I know, are so excited about the theater. They're so excited about having people come to Rockport. They're so excited about taking care of them when they come into the theater at night. And it's something to look forward to. People, to the ticket takers, to the people who sweep to the aisles and clean up the building. It's such a great, and you don't have that right now. So tell me a little bit about the morale of your staff.
Well, my full-time staff, which is 15, are hanging in there. And they, first of all, I have to say from the get-go, I'm blessed to have each and every one of them. The fate dealt me a wonderful gift in finding those people and having them stay for so many years now. We've had very little turnover. And so, everybody is furloughed up to varying degrees based on what their jobs are. And that saddens me every day. But they are hanging in and they're doing the job. The job duties are somewhat lessened due to the fact that we're not doing live concerts, but we still have to plan ahead. We have to take care of our facilities. We have to raise money so that we can keep the staff and be ready to, turn on the lights overnight, you might say, when the time comes.
I was going to say.
So I'm not saying everybody's gleefully happy, but they understand the situation and they're giving 100% still, even under these circumstances. So I'm very blessed.
I was thinking that military analogy is that as soon as you're ready to go, I'm sure that this thing is going to be back up and running just like that. But having said that, a couple of questions come to mind. Are you in contact with other directors of theaters, or I don't know what that brotherhood is like, what that fraternity is like, but how is that working right now in terms of navigating all of this?
I think that it's being in a dark room for all of us. It's a great unknown because you can't put the stake in the sand, in the ground. It's like putting it in a bucket of water, because the plans, the governments and the governors, COVID rules change. So for example, for a while I think he was allowing gatherings of 25. Then he moved it up to 50. Then he's moved it back to 25. So, and I mean, not to blame him, it's just because of the facts of the matter of where the numbers are with a number of people who have it. So what we have to do is sort of plan on the ability to turn on a dime and to either move ahead with our, what we're going to do or what we see as an opening or an opportunity, compared to the time when we're not going to be, or if we're not going to be able to do what we planned. So,
excuse me, I'm sorry. That's a robocall into my studio from Washington, D.C. It could be the president calling
Trump,
me.
obviously.
I doubt it. So let me just cancel that. Okay, it's done. Sorry, I'm sorry about that, Tony.
That's okay. I didn't know if you wanted to go on because we're.
No, but yeah, yes,
right.
absolutely.
So anyway, I'll say that we're all in the world of not knowing or having enough information and existing in that world, and so you just sort of make plans on short-term bases, and you sort of pick decision points when you're going to have to make a decision one way or the other.
I've applied for a couple of concerts over the last 6 months that had to be postponed. And I must say that your organization has been fantastic in handling that with me and the cancellations and postponements. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
And I'm wondering, again, this is just an off-the-cuff question from a an ignorant layperson, in terms of acts, in terms of performing artists and so on, is that something that right now it's just you're not real, no one's in contact with each other more or less, but you're sort of keeping the door open. And once this thing gets settled, boy, you can flip the switch that quickly.
Yeah, well, you can, well, with artists, I would say right now we have, quote unquote, spring and summer and fall and things into next year booked. But that's our planning cycle anyway.
Right.
But nobody is under the illusions that you're going to hold to the deal, or they can hold to the deal based on what's going on. So that the signs you see on the road, we're all in it together. Well, in the case of the music business, we are all in it together. And so we still have to plan and marketing. You'd be surprised if, unless you have 90 days to sell tickets to a concert, you may not have the results you want.
Right.
But that's one thing that concerns me, because we may have to turn on less than 90 days. But we'll figure it out with a marketing approach that'll allow us to do the best we can.
Yeah, and I know as you mentioned, you do have great support from the community in the area. And I think the final question on this particular line of questions is, in terms of a challenge for yourself, a lot of people are, I don't want to say a lot of people, but there are some people who are just saying, you know what, this is enough. I'm tired. I'm going home. This isn't what I signed up for. But when I see you, every time I see you, your enthusiasm is still there. The chest, the heart's beating in the chest, and it's like, okay, we got to get this next show out there. So the challenge, Tony, as music director and CEO for you, I know this isn't something that you expected, but I'm guessing it's something, I don't want to say you're relishing it. That's not the right term. Mm-hmm. But it's a challenge that you're still going after.
Sure. Well, I think it's, I think I speak for my staff. We love Rockport music, and we love where we work and what we're doing. And I wouldn't be in this business if I didn't see happy faces in the audience and walking out happy or elated by the music or in a different place because of the music. So that sort of, floats my boat. And I can wait forever till that day returns.
That's great. I can't wait to get up there again. It's just, I look forward to it so much. And it's such a fantastic venue. That said, there are some things that people can look forward to and have fun with. So where would you like to start?
Well, as we, the day we ended live concerts, and that was actually a Celtic Sojourn St. Patrick's Day concert on, I think it was March 11th. We strategized about what we were going to do. And one thing that we had was an in-house video system. And we also had in June, we had our annual gala event, which is a big fundraiser for us. So our first foray into going virtual from the stage was with our gala. And we had this fantastic pianist whose name is Marc-Andre Hamlin do a brief recital, and we did some pieces about Rockport music and little speechettes by myself and others in the Rockport music, artistic director of the Chamber Music Festival and others. And we produced this program, and it was a big hit because it was free to everybody. But those that were coming to our gala and had paid for tickets, we polled everybody, and we said to them, we're happy to give you a refund because we're not charging for this event. And they said, no, keep the money. And so that right away, I knew we were on the right track in terms of how we were going to move forward, because everybody loved that program. And then shortly after that, we started to plan for a virtual series that we call a concert view. And so we had to find artists that were mostly local at the time because of traveling and testing hadn't really started yet, and everybody's kind of fearful. And then once testing and the guidelines of social distancing and everything came to fruition, we've had artists that will come in, they'll test before they come in Massachusetts, and then probably test again wherever they're going to. And they'll come into our hall. The hall is usually, we only have 1 or 2 staff people, socially distanced. the production people stay in another room with the video and the camera controls and all of that. We don't do them live. The vast majority have been pre-recorded, and the artists prefer that actually, because they get to have a little control over that and do retakes from time to time if that's necessary. And so we found that it was a great way of keeping, the most important thing for me is keeps our fan base and audience engaged. So we have something always coming up, and then we'll have then of something to offer, and we'll be able to move on with our brand. So people don't forget about the Shalin-Liu Performance Center. It's just sort of hopefully building up a desire to come back to live. So after the gala, we started booking concerts of all different kinds of genres. We've had jazz, we've had some local music from Cape Ann. We've certainly had classical artists as well, and it's been a real fun ride. And the amazing thing I didn't anticipate was how grateful the artists themselves are, because they're all sitting at home, and they're not, these people live to perform. And while they may not like performing to an empty concert hall, it's certainly better than nothing. And then the amazing thing is I just had a conversation earlier with somebody telling them about the fact that, when the people watch the programs initially, there might be 300 to 500 people that watch it when we first release it, because that's what we advertise. It's Friday at 7 o'clock, here's our next concert. And but it's the afterlife which becomes staggering. For example, because not only do we do it on our website, we do it on Facebook, YouTube, and this other site called the Violin Channel, where the classical music also plays. And if, as you sit there and a week or 2 or 3 go by, you see that the numbers of views goes into the thousands.
Wow.
And I think our highest one, which is a group called the Parker Quartet, I think they were the first or second after our gala to come and do a concert. I think the last time I looked, they were up to about 14,000 views.
Whoa.
So, so go figure. So,
that's awesome. Yeah.
Imagine trying to buy that kind of, connection with
Wow.
people. Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, on this end of it, to bring that up on a computer, or feed the computer into the TV and then plug it into your sound system, it doesn't take a whole lot, of genius to do that at home, in your home living room, or in my case, in my studio, and you can crank it up and watch it again. It's a great thing. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's amazing. And I mean, we're not blinded by the fact that that we think that everybody's watching the whole thing. So there are people, and you can get these metrics from Google and the other websites. They tell you approximately what percentage are staying with it for more than 5 minutes or not, or just clicking on for a minute or two. And I understand that we all do that. But I'd say a good 25. I think about 25% stay there for the hour. We don't make it a 2-hour full-length concert. It's usually 45 minutes or so. And then other people click in for a certain amount of time, under that amount. But that's okay, because they've connected with us. They've seen our hall. They've seen, because I think my team does a great job producing these things. And I had a background with television programming at the Boston Pops, but I found if I once I left them alone to their own devices, they didn't need me. They're doing great work. And so our education director now is a director, with controlling cameras, and our marketing director is into editing. Our hall operations person is into sound editing. So they've almost developed second careers here in this time. So
you're sounding more and more like the Patton of Shalin-Liu. I love that. Just let the troops do their thing, and you're the commander of front.
Oh yeah. Oh, why wouldn't I?
Absolutely. All right. So the Christmas Celtic Sojourn, when is that one, Tony?
That is December 18th, and that's kind of a very interesting partnership we have with Brian O'Donovan, and everybody knows his shows on Saturdays on WGBH, and he does the Christmas Celtic Sojourn. He comes to Rockport. He does on one day he does 2 performances, and he becomes like a caravan. He goes around to several venues in the greater Boston area, and so this year, of course, none of that can happen. So he came to us and he said, seeing what we have been doing and everything, he asked if we wanted to be in a partnership with him where with his gang, and I think it's probably about 12 or 15 people, performers, would come up here for a 2-week stint and reside here in Rockport, and we found them living quarters for them. Now they all quarantined together, so I've seen Brian once in the last 2 weeks, on the street, just passing, because they all go to the hall, back to where they're living every day. They've been rehearsing, and I think they're wrapping up now the recording of the final concert. So for us, the partnership is great exposure for our hall, because he's producing, I believe it's either 3 or 4 nights of a slightly varied program for each venue, and each venue gets to sell tickets, or he sells tickets, but each program is geared to the venue and he references it. But it's all going to be from our hall, and we have our special night too. So and we're glad it could happen, because if we didn't, we found the resources to do it, and we had some incredibly generous donors who gave up their homes, lock, stock, and barrel, to let these people be up here for 2 weeks. If that hadn't have happened, I don't think he couldn't have done that this year. It's just too much to pull off.
That's a spectacular story. That is amazing.
So it's great. You have to understand Brian. It's he's the most, so inquisitive about everything in music, and especially, and he's always digging for stuff, and he knows so much, and he also has a background in sports management, and he's just, he's a real Renaissance kind of guy.
Excellent. Now, Tony, if I want to watch this concert, then, and we'll talk about next week's also, how do we go about doing that? I'm going to connect to your website, but how do we do that?
Well, best bet right now is to go to our website, and he's selling tickets. We're selling the tickets for him in all the venues. But if you buy it from ours, it's the easiest to do right now. And also, I think it's on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can call the box office. We're manned for those days. I think it's between 10 and 2 or something like that. It's all on the website, or you can send an email, but that's the best way to order tickets. And then, we send you a link, and then you can watch it at home or do whatever you want.
Perfect. Yeah, sounds great. Okay, finally, I guess, Tony, in this particular interview with you, there is a concert coming up next week that you want to mention? No, I'm sorry. It's this week, Friday the 20th, right?
Have to put on pause here. I'm just blanking.
Yeah, I got to get my glasses on here. Tony, I'm sorry, Tim Guerin?
Oh, Tim Guerin, yeah, Tim Guerin. He just recorded in here, I guess last week. Tim is my director of marketing described it aptly. This is a guy that could have a fantastic solo career as a great musician and singer, and he's there with another guy whose name I don't know. He's a fantastic guitarist, and Tim could have been in any band he ever chose to be in, of any kind of music, singer, songwriter, blues, whatever. But I think he lives in Lowell, and he's opted out of that lifestyle of being on the road because he's a family man, he's kids and everything. And so, he keeps plenty busy around. And he came to, we hired him for our first, we did a folk night, sort of a roundup of local talent. And he was there, and it sold out immediately because of him. And so he graciously agreed to come and, do a show for us. So he's well worth listening to him too. He's one of those guys, even if you may not like the music that he's singing, but his musicality and abilities just jump out at you.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned your director of marketing, Karen Hurwitz, I believe, and I want to
That's
thank
right.
Karen for,
Yeah.
I want to thank Karen for setting up this interview once again
Yes.
for me, because I love learning stuff from you, so I appreciate it. And we'll talk again soon, I hope.
All right. Thank you for this opportunity. We appreciate it.